Section 2.2, Methods for Solving Quadratics. We're going to go through 5 methods: factoring, square roots, the quadratic formula, completing the square, and graphing, but you've already learned that one. First, let's just review the different possibilities you could get at the end. You could get 2 real solutions, 2 complex solutions, and complex solutions are the ones with those I answers, or 1 real solution, which is also called a double root. The square root method is the method where you start with only quadratic terms and constants. You arrange it so that you have the quadratics on one side, the constants on the other, and then you take the square root of both sides. Don't forget, square roots have 2 solutions, and if you take the square root of a negative in the end, you'll have 2 complex solutions. Here's an example of this. You should hit pause if you'd like to copy it down. One that you're probably most familiar with is factoring, where you take ax squared plus by plus c and you break it down into those factors written in the parentheses. Then you set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x on both sides. If it factors, then you're only going to get real solutions, either 2 or 1 double root. Sometimes you find you'll need the quadratic formula. Again, start off with ax squared plus by plus c and plug a, b, and c into the quadratic formula. Please remember that the entire right-hand side is over 2a. You might also remember that there's this thing called the discriminant. It's just the stuff that's underneath that square root sign, the b squared minus 4ac. If it's less than 0, you get no solutions. No real solutions. If it's equal to 0, you get 1 real solution. And if it's greater than 0, you get 2 real solutions. Press pause if you'd like to copy down an example of using the quadratic formula. Next up is completing the square. You start off with the same form. You move c to the other side. And if you have a leading coefficient where a is, you factor that out of everything on the left. Then you take b over 2 squared and add it to both sides. When you factor the left-hand side, you should get a perfect square trinomial, which eventually factors into something that looks like this, where this a doesn't necessarily match this a. And then you can solve with the square root method. So in this example, there was no leading coefficient, which makes it easier. But if you look down here at the end, we get a square root method where we didn't get a nice square root, where we had to simplify radicals, etc. And the last method is graphing, but you've already learned how to graph because this is the x-intercept method. This is the method where you'll graph it, set it equal to y1, and find the intercepts. Let your calculator find them. The x values at the intercepts will be the solutions to the equation. To receive credit for this, you should answer this Edpuzzle question. Kind of an opinion question. Most of you would probably prefer to factor, but if it's not something that factors easily, what's your go-to second method, and why? If you're having technical difficulties using Edpuzzle, make sure you show me your handwritten notes in class.